Lisa Carter walked through the massive doors of the Galactic Court. The building was bigger than anything she had ever seen on Earth. The walls were made of some kind of crystal that glowed with soft blue light. The ceiling was so high she could barely see it. Everything around her made her feel very small. Hundreds of alien creatures filled the huge room. Some looked like giant insects with shiny shells. Others were made of what looked like living rocks. Some seemed to be made of gas, or light that moved in strange patterns. Lisa had studied pictures of these species for months, but seeing them in person was completely different. The noise was incredible. All these different species were talking, clicking, buzzing, and making sounds she had never heard before. Small devices attached to her ears translated everything into English, but the voices still sounded very strange and scary. Lisa wore her best diplomatic uniform, but she felt like a child dressed up in adult clothes. She was only 35 years old, which made her one of the youngest ambassadors Earth had ever sent to space. Her brown hair was pulled back tight, and she tried to stand as tall as possible. Dr. Ben Murphy walked beside her. He was her scientific advisor and one of her oldest friends. Ben looked nervous too, but he tried to smile at her. "Remember, Lisa," he whispered, "we knew this would be hard. Just stick to the plan." At the front of the room was a raised platform, with 7 huge seats. These were for the high judges, who would decide Earth's fate. Lisa felt her heart beating fast as she looked at them. Each judge was from a different species that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. The center judge was the strangest one. It looked like a ball of pure energy trapped inside a geometric shape that kept changing. When it spoke, its voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. "The court will now hear the petition from the species called humans," it said. All the talking and noise in the room suddenly stopped. Hundreds of alien eyes, sensors, and other things Lisa could not understand all turned to look at her. She felt like a bug under a microscope. "Approach the speaking area," commanded another judge. This one looked like a giant spider made of metal and crystal. Its voice made a clicking sound that her translator turned into cold, mechanical words. Lisa walked forward. Her shoes made small clicking sounds on the crystal floor. The sound seemed very loud in the quiet room. She could feel sweat on her hands, but she tried to keep her face calm and professional. When she reached the speaking area, Lisa looked up at the judges. "Honorable members of the High Court," she began. "I am Ambassador Lisa Carter, speaking for all humans on Earth. We come before you today to request mercy." A sound like laughter filled the room, but not the kind of laughter that meant something was funny. It was the kind of laughter that meant the aliens thought humans were stupid, or cute like pets doing tricks. The energy being in the center spoke again. "Mercy? The young species asks for mercy?" Its voice sounded amused. "How interesting. Tell us, small human, what mercy do you seek?" Lisa took a deep breath. This was the moment everything depended on. "We ask that you do not destroy our world. We know you have decided to strip mine Earth for its rare minerals. We understand these minerals are valuable to you, but Earth is our home. It is the only world we have ever known." The laughter got louder. One judge that looked like a living mountain made a sound like rocks falling. "Their dirt ball is nothing special," it rumbled. "We have mined 1,000 worlds better than theirs." Another judge, this one made of what looked like flowing water with lights inside, spoke in a voice like musical notes. "The minerals in their world are needed for hyperspace gates. One small planet can provide materials for transportation across 3 sectors of the galaxy. Their needs cannot outweigh the needs of trillions." Lisa felt her hope starting to fade, but she kept trying. "We are not asking you to abandon your mining plans. We only ask for time. Give us a chance to move our people to safety. Let us find new homes before you begin." "Time?" The spider judge clicked its metal legs together. "Time is a resource, just like the minerals in your world. Why should we waste time on an unimportant species?" A new voice spoke from the gallery where all the alien representatives sat. "The human species has been studied extensively," said a creature that looked like it was made of mirrors. "They show no special abilities. Their technology is primitive, their culture is unremarkable. They offer nothing unique to galactic civilization. Furthermore, added another alien, this one covered in what looked like living fire. Humans reproduce slowly and have short lifespans. They would require enormous resources to relocate properly. The cost-benefit analysis clearly shows it is not worth the effort. Lisa felt like someone had punched her in the stomach. She had known this would be difficult, but hearing her entire species dismissed so casually was harder than she had expected. "Please," she said, and she hated how weak her voice sounded. "We are asking for our lives." The energy being at the center pulsed brighter. "Your species has had 300 years since first contact to prove your worth to the galaxy. In that time, you have remained confined to one star system. You have developed no new technologies that we do not already possess. You have created no art that moves us, no science that surprises us, no philosophy that challenges us. Your mathematics are adequate but not exceptional," continued the water judge. "Your literature is emotional but lacks depth. Your music follows predictable patterns. Your scientific achievements duplicate discoveries made by dozens of species before you." Ben stepped up beside Lisa. His face was pale, but his voice was steady. "If we could demonstrate our potential, show you what we might accomplish given time." "Silence!" The spider judge's voice cut through the air like a blade. "This court does not deal in possibilities. We deal in facts. The fact is that humanity offers nothing of value to offset the cost of relocation." Lisa looked around the enormous room at all the alien faces staring at her. Some looked bored. Others seemed annoyed that she was wasting their time. A few appeared to be sleeping or doing other things entirely. None of them looked like they cared that she was fighting for the survival of her entire species. "The decision has been made," announced the center judge. "Earth will be prepared for mining operations beginning in one galactic standard cycle. This is approximately 6 of your months. The human population will be relocated to designated processing stations where they will be evaluated for potential usefulness as a labor force." The words hit Lisa like ice water. Processing stations, labor force, they were not even going to let humans live as free people. They were going to turn them into slaves, assuming they let them live at all. "This court session is adjourned," the center judge declared. As the aliens began to leave, Lisa stood frozen in place. She had failed. Earth was doomed, and her people would either die or spend their lives as slaves to creatures who saw them as nothing more than annoying insects. Lisa could not let it end like this. She stepped forward as the judges were preparing to leave. "Wait," she called out. "Please, I have more to say." The energy being in the center stopped glowing for a moment, then pulsed brighter. "The human still speaks? How amusing." "Very well. You have one more opportunity to entertain us." The word entertain hit Lisa like a slap. These creatures thought her desperate plea for her people's lives was entertainment. She felt anger rising in her chest, but she pushed it down. Getting angry would not help Earth. "I want to tell you about humanity," Lisa said, her voice stronger now. "I want you to understand what you are destroying." A creature that looked like a giant jellyfish made of metal floated down from the gallery. "We have already reviewed your species data," it said in a voice like grinding gears. "There is nothing remarkable about you." "But you have only looked at numbers and statistics," Lisa replied. "You have not looked at who we really are. Humans may not be the smartest or strongest species, but we have something special. We have hope. We have the ability to dream of better futures and work to make them real." Laughter filled the room again. This time it was even louder and more mocking than before. "Dreams," screeched a bird-like creature with 3 heads. "The mammals think dreams have value. Next they will tell us that their fairy tales and children's stories are great literature." "Actually," Lisa said, refusing to back down, "some of our greatest scientific achievements started as what you might call fairy tales. We dreamed of flying before we understood how wings worked. We dreamed of traveling to other worlds before we knew how space worked. We dreamed of speaking to people on the other side of our planet before we invented radio." The spider judge made a clicking sound that her translator interpreted as annoyed laughter. "Every species dreams of flight and space travel. There is nothing unique about this." "But how many species actually achieve those dreams starting from nothing?" Ben asked, stepping up beside Lisa. "Humans went from living in caves to building spaceships in less than 10,000 years. Most species take 100,000 years or more to reach space." A creature that looked like living shadow spoke in a voice like whispers. "Speed of development means nothing if the end result is mediocre. Your fastest ships are slower than our cargo vessels. Your computers are less powerful than our children's toys." "That is true," Lisa admitted. "But we built all of this ourselves. We did not have teachers from advanced species showing us how to do things. We figured it out step by step, making mistakes and learning from them." "Making mistakes is not an achievement," said the water judge. "It is a sign of incompetence." The mountain judge made its rumbling laugh again. "The little humans are proud of being slow learners." How precious. Lisa felt her cheeks burn with embarrassment, but she kept talking. "What about our art, our music, our literature? These things may not seem important to you, but they show how we see the universe. They show our creativity." A creature that looked like it was made of crystals and light spoke in a voice like ringing bells. "We have analyzed your creative works. Your music follows mathematical patterns discovered by the melodic collective 40,000 years ago. Your visual art uses color combinations and shapes that are pleasant to most carbon-based species, but they contain no innovations. Your stories tell the same basic plots that have been told by every species since the dawn of civilization, but the way we tell those stories is our own," Lisa protested. "The emotions we put into them, the way we connect with each other through them." "Emotions are chemical reactions," interrupted the spider judge. "They are not unique to your species. Every biological species experiences fear, anger, joy, and sadness. The ways you express these emotions are statistically average for mammals of your size and brain capacity." Lisa felt like she was drowning. Every argument she made, every example she gave was dismissed as ordinary or unimportant. She looked at Ben, who was frantically reading through notes on his datapad, trying to find something that might impress these creatures. "What about our capacity for growth?" Lisa asked desperately. "Yes, we are not advanced now, but we are improving rapidly. Give us time, and we could contribute great things to galactic civilization." The energy being pulsed in what seemed like amusement. "Every young species claims they will grow and improve given time. Most do not. They reach a certain level of development and then stagnate. Nothing in your current achievement suggests you will be different." "We have overcome incredible challenges," Lisa said. "We have survived ice ages, plagues, wars, natural disasters. We have learned to work together despite our differences. Survival is the minimum requirement for intelligence," said the jellyfish creature. "Any species that reaches space must have survived various challenges. This does not make you special." A new voice spoke from the gallery. It belonged to something that looked like a giant centipede made of liquid mercury. "The humans speak of working together, but their own history shows constant warfare, genocide, and environmental destruction. They have nearly destroyed their own world multiple times. How can such a chaotic species contribute to galactic order?" Lisa's heart sank. They were right about humanity's violent past. How could she argue with that? "Yes, we have made terrible mistakes," she said quietly. "But we have learned from them. We have grown beyond our violent past." "Have you?" asked the shadow creature. "Your species still maintains military forces. You still have weapons capable of destroying your own civilization. You still have conflicts over resources and territory. Those things exist for defense," Ben said. "We have not fought a major war in over 200 years. 200 years is an instant in galactic time." The spider judge clicked. "It proves nothing about your long-term stability." The crystal judge chimed in again. "Furthermore, your species population is concentrated on a single world. This makes you incredibly vulnerable. A single asteroid impact, solar flare, or plague could eliminate you entirely. Advanced species spread across multiple worlds to ensure survival. Your failure to do so shows poor planning and limited thinking. We were preparing to expand, Lisa said, but her voice sounded weak even to her own ears. We just needed more time. Time you do not have, the center judge said firmly. This court has heard enough. Your species shows no exceptional qualities that would justify the enormous expense of relocation. The resources required to move billions of humans to suitable worlds would be better used for projects that benefit the entire galaxy. You're condemning billions of innocent people to death, Lisa said, her voice cracking with emotion. We are making an efficient allocation of resources, corrected the water judge. Sentiment has no place in such decisions. The mountain judge rumbled again. The galaxy has seen millions of species rise and fall. Most are forgotten within a few thousand years. Your species will simply join that list slightly earlier than they might have otherwise. But we have children, Lisa said, and she could not stop tears from forming in her eyes. We have families, hopes, dreams for the future. We have people who create beautiful music just because they love the sound of it. We have scientists who study stars just because they want to understand how the universe works. We have teachers who spend their lives helping children learn to read. All species have children, the spider judge said dismissively. All species have individuals who pursue various activities. None of this makes you unique or valuable to the greater galactic community. Lisa wiped her eyes and looked around the room one more time. The alien stared back at her with expressions she could not read. Some seemed bored. Others appeared annoyed that she was still talking. None showed any sign of sympathy or understanding. Is there nothing we can do? She asked quietly. Nothing we can offer? Nothing that would make you reconsider? The center judge's energy form pulsed slowly. If your species possessed some unique technology or unusual biological capabilities or exceptional artistic vision, then perhaps accommodation could be made. But you possess none of these things. You are, in every measurable way, perfectly ordinary. Lisa closed her eyes and took a shaky breath. She had one last card to play, but it was so dangerous she had hoped she would never need to use it. When she opened her eyes again, her expression was different. The tears were gone, and something cold and determined had taken their place. Lisa stood in the center of the enormous courtroom, surrounded by hundreds of alien beings who had just decided her species was not worth saving. The weight of 8 billion lives pressed down on her shoulders. She thought about her daughter, Kate, only 7 years old, probably playing in their backyard on Earth right now, not knowing that powerful creatures in a distant galaxy had just signed her death sentence. Please, Lisa said, her voice barely above a whisper. I'm not just speaking as an ambassador. I'm speaking as a mother, as a daughter, as someone who loves her home. The energy being at the center of the judge's platform pulsed with what might have been impatience. Individual emotional attachments are irrelevant to matters of galactic resource management. But they are not irrelevant to us, Lisa replied, her voice growing stronger. Every human on Earth has a story. Every one of them matters to someone. My daughter Kate draws pictures of the sunset from our house. She has never seen any other sky. Earth's sky is blue because of the way our atmosphere scatters light from our particular sun. No other world will ever look the same to her. A creature that looked like living crystal made a sound like wind chimes. Atmospheric light scattering follows the same physical laws throughout the universe. Any world with similar atmospheric composition will produce identical visual effects. You do not understand, Lisa said desperately. It is not just about the physics of light. It is about memory, about connection, about the place where generations of your family lived and died. My grandmother used to tell me stories while we sat on her porch watching thunderstorms. Her grandmother told her the same stories on the same porch. That porch, that view, those stories, they connect me to my family's history, going back hundreds of years. The spider judge clicked its metal legs impatiently. Generational memory can be preserved through digital recording. Physical locations are irrelevant. No, Lisa said, more forcefully than she had intended. You can record the words of a story, but you cannot record the smell of rain on summer grass, or the way the wood of that old porch felt warm under your feet, or how your grandmother's voice sounded different when thunder was rolling across the sky. These things make us who we are. The jellyfish creature floating near the judges made its grinding gear voice. Sensory experiences are simply electrochemical signals in your nervous system. They can be replicated artificially with sufficient technology. Lisa felt like screaming. How could she make them understand something they seemed incapable of feeling? It is not about replicating experiences. It is about the real connections between people and places that grow over time. Earth is not just a planet to us. It is our mother, our teacher, our home. Every mountain, every ocean, every forest has shaped who we are as a species. Biological adaptation to specific environments is common among planet-bound species, said the water judge. It does not constitute a valid argument for resource inefficiency. Ben stepped closer to Lisa and whispered urgently, "Lisa, we are losing them. We need to try something else." Lisa looked at her old friend and saw the same desperation in his eyes that she felt in her heart. They had prepared for months for this moment, running through every possible argument, every angle they might use to convince the Galactic Court. None of their preparations had included the aliens being completely unable to understand the concept of emotional attachment to home. "What if we offered to help with your mining operations?" Lisa asked, grasping at any possibility. "Humans are good at working in dangerous conditions. We could assist your teams make the process more efficient." The mountain judge made its rumbling laugh again. "Your physical capabilities are inferior to our automated systems. Your lifespans are too short for long-term projects. Your biological needs would require expensive life support systems. Using human labor would increase costs, not reduce them. We could share our scientific research," Ben offered. "We have been studying fusion reactions, quantum mechanics, biological systems. Perhaps we have approached problems from different angles than other species." The shadow creature spoke in its whispery voice. "Your scientific achievements have been reviewed by our analysis systems. They duplicate research completed by other species centuries or millennia ago. You have discovered nothing new." Lisa felt her last hopes crumbling away like sand. "What about our willingness to learn? We could serve as students, as assistants, to more advanced species. We could help with basic tasks while learning from you." "Biological servants require feeding, housing, medical care, and waste disposal," said the crystal judge. "Mechanical systems are more efficient and reliable. There is no economic justification for biological labor forces." The center judge's energy form flared brighter. "This court has been patient with your appeals, but patience has limits. Your species offers no unique value to galactic civilization. The resources of your world are needed for projects that will benefit trillions of beings across hundreds of systems. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few." "But we are not asking for special treatment," Lisa said desperately. "We are just asking to live, to exist, to be allowed to find our own place in the galaxy." "Existence requires resources." The spider judge clicked coldly. "Resources that could be used more efficiently elsewhere. Every world suitable for human habitation could instead support more advanced species with greater productive capacity." Lisa looked around the room at the hundreds of alien representatives. Some were already leaving, having lost interest in what they clearly saw as a pointless discussion. Others were talking among themselves in languages her translator could not handle. None of them seemed to care that they were discussing the extinction of an entire species. "You talk about efficiency and resource management," Lisa said, her voice shaking with emotion. "But what about justice? What about compassion? What about the simple recognition that thinking beings have a right to exist?" The energy being pulsed slowly. "Justice is the fair application of law. The law clearly states that worlds containing strategic materials may be claimed for galactic benefit. Compassion is an emotional response that interferes with rational decision-making. Rights are privileges granted by those with power to those who serve their interests. So might makes right?" Lisa asked. "The strong can destroy the weak simply because they can?" The strong bear the responsibility of managing galactic resources for maximum benefit, corrected the water judge. This sometimes requires difficult decisions. Lisa felt a cold fury building in her chest. These creatures saw themselves as wise and benevolent managers, making hard choices for the greater good. They could not or would not understand that they were simply bullies using fancy words to justify murder. Ben leaned close to her again. Lisa, there is one more thing we could try. The classified files. The ones about the research project. Lisa shook her head slightly. Ben, we agreed those files were too dangerous. If we reveal that information, our entire species is about to be wiped out. Ben whispered urgently. How much more dangerous could things get? Lisa closed her eyes for a moment, thinking fast. The files Ben was talking about contained information that could change everything, but they also contained information that could make things much worse. It was the kind of secret that governments killed to protect, the kind of knowledge that could destabilize the entire galaxy if it fell into the wrong hands. But what choice did she have? Earth was doomed anyway. Maybe it was time to roll the dice and see what happened. When Lisa opened her eyes, her expression had changed completely. The desperation was still there, but now it was mixed with something much more dangerous. It was the look of someone who had nothing left to lose. You know, she said quietly, there is one thing about humans you might find interesting after all. The alien judges looked down at Lisa with expressions she could not read. The energy being in the center pulsed once, slowly. The human believes she has something new to tell us? How curious. Our analysis teams are very thorough. Lisa reached into her diplomatic bag and pulled out a small device about the size of her palm. It looked like an ordinary communication device, but several security drones immediately focused their sensors on her. Red lights blinked as they scanned the object for weapons. This is just a quantum communicator, Lisa said calmly. Standard diplomatic equipment. I have been broadcasting this entire conversation back to Earth. The spider judge clicked its legs, together impatiently. Yes, we are aware of your transmission. It changes nothing. Broadcasting your failure to save your species serves no purpose except to cause panic among your population. Actually, Lisa said, and for the first time since entering the courtroom, she smiled. My government did not send me here to beg for mercy. They sent me here to deliver a message. The room grew quieter. Even the aliens who had been preparing to leave stopped and turned back to listen. The water judge flowed closer to the edge of the platform. What message could a primitive species possibly have for this court? Lisa's smile grew wider, but it was not a happy smile. It was the kind of smile that made people nervous. The message is simple. If you destroy our world, we will make sure you pay a price for it. Laughter erupted from the gallery again, but this time it sounded less sure than before. The mountain judge rumbled with what might have been amusement. Your species possesses no weapons that could threaten even a single member world of the galactic community. What price could you possibly make us pay? You are absolutely right, Lisa agreed cheerfully. We cannot hurt you. We cannot even reach your homeworlds with our primitive technology. But we can hurt something much more important to you than your individual planets. The shadow creature drifted closer, its whispery voice carrying a note of interest. Explain. Lisa held up the communicator again. 3 minutes ago, I transmitted a very specific set of coordinates to our military command on Earth. Not coordinates for any of your worlds, but coordinates for something much closer to home. The crystal judge chimed with what sounded like irritation. Stop speaking in riddles. What coordinates? Ben, Lisa said without taking her eyes off the judges. Would you like to tell them about our little science project? Ben stepped forward, his face pale but his voice steady. For the past 50 years, Earth scientists have been conducting research into controlled gravitational anomalies. The project was classified at the highest levels because the potential applications were... He paused. Well, they were terrifying, the energy being flared brighter. Gravitational manipulation requires technology centuries beyond your current capabilities. You would think so, Ben replied. But humans have this nasty habit of finding dangerous shortcuts to things we should not be able to do. We built nuclear weapons before we fully understood atomic physics. We created artificial intelligence before we understood how consciousness works. We have a talent for stumbling into incredibly powerful technologies, while we are still too stupid to use them safely. Lisa nodded. The Gravitational Research Project was shut down officially 25 years ago. Too dangerous, they said. Too unpredictable. But the research data was preserved and some of the equipment was never fully dismantled. The jellyfish creature made its grinding noise. Even if such research existed, it would be purely theoretical. You lack the power sources necessary to manipulate gravity on any meaningful scale. That is where you are wrong, Lisa said. We do not need to manipulate gravity. We just need to manipulate something that already exists, something we have been very carefully hiding in our outer solar system for decades. The courtroom was completely silent now. Even the security drones had stopped moving. Lisa continued in the same cheerful tone. You see, while your survey teams were so focused on cataloging the valuable minerals in our system, they missed something very important. We have been feeding matter into a controlled gravitational singularity for the past 30 years. The water judge's musical voice cracked slightly. Impossible. Our sensors would have detected such an anomaly. Not if we designed it to be undetectable, Ben said. The singularity is very small, about the mass of a large asteroid. It sits in a carefully maintained orbit beyond Neptune, hidden inside what looks like a normal research station. To your sensors, it appears to be nothing more than a routine, deep space facility. The spider judge's clicking grew faster, more agitated. You cannot possibly possess the technology to contain a stable singularity. Lisa shrugged. You are probably right. Our containment system is held together with the equivalent of rubber bands and prayer. It requires constant maintenance and adjustment, very delicate work, the kind of work that becomes impossible if, say, the people doing it are all dead or enslaved. The mountain judge's rumbling voice carried a note of concern. What are you implying? I am not implying anything, Lisa said. I am stating facts. The Gravitational Research Station requires a team of 50 specialists to maintain containment. If anything happens to Earth, if our government is destroyed or our people are eliminated, nobody will be left to maintain the system. The center judge pulsed rapidly now. The containment would fail? Within hours, Ben confirmed. And when it fails, that nice stable little singularity will start feeding on everything it can reach. First the research station itself, then the outer planets, then the gas giants, and finally our sun. The crystal judge's chiming became sharp and discordant. The gravitational effects would propagate throughout local space-time. Exactly, Lisa said. We calculated the effects very carefully. When our sun collapses into the growing black hole, the gravitational shockwave will disrupt hyperspace in a sphere roughly 20 light-years in radius. The shadow creature spoke in a voice like ice. That would affect 17 major shipping routes. Lisa nodded happily. The detour routes would add months to travel time between the core worlds and the outer rim territories. Cargo ships, passenger, vessels, military patrols, everything would have to go around the disrupted region. The economic impact, whispered the water judge, would be enormous. Conservative estimates suggest it would cost the galactic economy about 50 trillion credits per year in increased transportation expenses, Ben added. That is considerably more than it would cost to relocate the human population to suitable worlds. The energy being dimmed almost to invisibility. You would destroy your own solar system out of spite? Lisa's smile became absolutely terrifying. Your Honor, you just told us you are going to strip mine our world and turn our people into slaves. You have made it very clear that we are going to die either way. So yes, if we are going to die, we are going to make sure it costs you something. The courtroom erupted in confused chatter. Aliens spoke rapidly to each other in dozens of languages. Lisa could see fear in their strange faces, or at least what she thought was fear. These creatures who had seemed so powerful and confident suddenly looked worried. The spider judge raised its metal legs for silence. You are bluffing. No rational species would commit such an act of destruction. Lisa laughed. and the sound made several aliens step backward. Rational. Your Honor, we are the species that invented mutually assured destruction. For over a century, we pointed enough nuclear weapons at ourselves to end our civilization, just to keep our enemies from attacking us. We held our own world hostage for generations. She leaned forward slightly, her voice dropping to almost a whisper. Do you really want to bet the economic stability of 17 star systems that we will not do it again? The silence that followed was absolute. Not a single creature in the vast courtroom made a sound. The silence in the courtroom stretched for what felt like hours but was probably only minutes. Lisa could see the alien judges looking at each other, communicating in ways she could not understand. Flashes of light, changes in their energy patterns, subtle movements. They were having a rapid conversation that her translator could not pick up. Finally, the energy being in the center spoke, its voice lacking all the condescending amusement it had carried before. You claim to possess a gravitational weapon of enormous destructive potential. If this is true, why reveal it now? Why not use it as a bargaining chip from the beginning? Lisa shrugged as if the answer was obvious. Because we hoped we would not need it. We came here first with honest appeals for mercy. We tried to show you our value as a species. We attempted to find peaceful solutions. But you have made it clear that you see us as nothing more than an inconvenience to be eliminated. The human strategy is illogical. The spider judge clicked, but its voice sounded less certain than before. If you destroy your solar system, you achieve nothing. Your species dies regardless. True, Lisa agreed. But we also make sure that our deaths cost you something. We make sure you remember us. Instead of being just another extinct species that nobody cares about, we become the species that crippled galactic commerce for decades. Ben stepped forward with his datapad. We have run extensive computer models of the economic impact. The disruption to shipping would create a cascade effect throughout the galactic economy. Worlds dependent on regular supply runs would face shortages. Manufacturing centers would lose access to raw materials. The unemployment and social instability could destabilize entire sectors. The water judge flowed closer to the edge of the platform, its musical voice now carrying notes of genuine concern. You would cause suffering for trillions of innocent beings across hundreds of worlds. Innocent? Lisa's voice turned cold. Every single one of those beings just voted to exterminate my species. Every one of them sat here and laughed while I begged for the lives of 8 billion humans. Where was their concern for innocent suffering when it was happening to us? The mountain judge rumbled uneasily. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Exactly, Lisa said with that terrible smile. And the many will suffer the consequences of this decision. The few, the mining companies, the construction, corporations, the politicians who voted for this, they will make enormous profits from stripping our world bare. But the many, ordinary citizens throughout the galaxy, they will pay the price in higher shipping costs, supply shortages, and economic chaos. The crystal judge chimed with rising panic. This is economic terrorism. This is justice, Lisa replied. You want to commit genocide for profit. We are simply making sure that profit comes with a very high price tag. The shadow creature drifted closer, its whispery voice carrying a note of desperate reasoning. Surely we can reach an accommodation. Perhaps a partial relocation, a gradual, mining schedule. Lisa shook her head. Too late for half measures. You had your chance to show mercy when I asked nicely. Now you know the real situation. Either you leave Earth completely alone, or you lose 17 shipping routes and 50 trillion credits per year for the next several decades. The energy being pulsed rapidly, its form flickering with what might have been panic. The economic, disruption would be temporary. Alternative routes would be established, new technologies developed. Eventually, yes, Ben agreed. Our estimates suggest it would take between 30 and 50 years to fully adapt to the loss of those shipping routes. During that time, the total economic impact would be somewhere between 1 and 2 quadrillion credits. That is enough money to relocate every human in the galaxy to paradise worlds with all expenses paid. The jellyfish creature made grinding noises that sounded like mechanical stress. You cannot be serious about this threat. The destruction would be absolute. There would be no possibility of changing your minds. No way to negotiate once the process began. Lisa nodded. That is what makes it such an effective deterrent. We cannot threaten to destroy your worlds because we do not have weapons that can reach them. But we can threaten to destroy our own world in a way that costs you dearly, and you know we are crazy enough to actually do it. Crazy? The spider judge's clicking became faster and more agitated. This goes beyond crazy. This is suicidal madness. No, Lisa said quietly. This is human. When we are cornered, when we have nothing left to lose, we do not go quietly into the darkness. We rage against it. We fight back with whatever weapons we can find, even if those weapons destroy us in the process. She looked around the vast courtroom at all the alien faces staring at her. You studied our history. You know about our wars, our violence, our tendency toward self-destruction. Did you think those were bugs in our programming? They are features. When something threatens everything we care about, we become incredibly dangerous, especially to ourselves. The water judge made a sound like waves crashing on rocks. This is irrational behavior. Destroying yourselves serves no evolutionary purpose. Evolution is about survival, Lisa replied. But sometimes survival means making sure your enemies pay such a high price for killing you that they think twice before threatening other species in the future. Ben nodded grimly. We are not the only young species in the galaxy. Others will face the same choice Earth faces today. If we go quietly, if we accept extinction without fighting back, we make it easier for you to make the same decision about them. But if we make our extinction incredibly expensive, you establish a precedent, the shadow creature finished, understanding dawning in its whispery voice. Other species will know that genocide carries economic consequences. Lisa smiled that terrible smile again. Now you are beginning to understand. This is not just about Earth. This is about establishing the principle that young species have, the right to exist, and that violating that right comes with a cost. The courtroom erupted in panicked chatter. Aliens spoke rapidly to each other, arguing, calculating, trying to find solutions. Lisa could see the fear in their strange faces now. These creatures who had seemed so powerful, so confident in their superiority, were suddenly faced with a problem they could not solve through superior technology or ancient wisdom. The center judge raised its energy form high above the platform, calling for silence. When the room quieted, it spoke in a voice that carried across every corner of the vast space. The court will recess to consider these new developments. Take all the time you need, Lisa said cheerfully. But remember, the containment system on our gravitational anomaly requires constant maintenance. If anything happens to Earth's government or scientific infrastructure, if our people are relocated to your processing stations, nobody will be left to keep that little black hole under control. The spider judge leaned forward. How do we know this weapon actually exists? You could be bluffing. Lisa reached into her bag and pulled out a data crystal. This contains all our research files, including real-time sensor data from the containment facility. You are welcome to verify everything we have told you. She tossed the crystal onto the platform. But I would suggest you verify it quickly. The maintenance team needs to perform a critical adjustment in about 6 hours. If they are not there to do it, she did not need to finish the sentence. The energy being dimmed to almost nothing. If we were to consider alternative arrangements for your species, what assurances could you provide that this weapon would be safely dismantled? Lisa's smile became almost friendly. Simple. Give us a nice garden world in an out-of-the-way system. Give us enough ships to relocate our population over the course of, say, 50 years. Guarantee our independence and sovereignty. Do that, and we will happily dismantle our doomsday device and become model galactic citizens. And if we refuse? Lisa's expression went completely cold. Then in 6 hours you will lose 17 shipping routes and learn a very expensive lesson about the dangers of underestimating humans. The water judge flowed back from the platform edge. This is extortion. This is negotiation, Lisa corrected. The difference is that now we have something you want, the continued existence of your economic infrastructure, and you have something we want, the continued existence of our species. That is the basis for a fair deal. She looked around the courtroom one more time. The choice is yours, honorable judges. You can have the minerals in our solar system, or you can have your shipping routes. You cannot have both. The silence that followed was different from before. It was not the silence of contempt or amusement. It was the silence of creatures who had suddenly realized they were not negotiating with helpless primitives. They were negotiating with humans who had absolutely nothing left to lose. And for the first time in galactic history, that made all the difference in the world.